On May 1, 1983, the Israeli Air Force was conducting an air combat training over the Negev desert in Israel. During the training, the A-4 Skyhawk, with the tail number 374, was flying upside down, engaged in a simulated dogfight. The A-4 in the inverted position was gaining altitude, completely unaware of the presence of another air superiority fighter of the Israeli Air Force, the F-15, which was flying right above it. The A-4 collided with the F-15 mid-air. The pilot flying the A-4 ejected, but his plane disintegrated. The F-15 began to spin uncontrollably while nosediving at high speed. Zivi Negev was the pilot sitting in the front, and Yahor Gal was the navigator sitting behind the pilot. The navigator asked the pilot to eject, but the pilot refused and switched on the afterburner. Slowly, the aircraft stopped spinning, and the pilot was able to pitch the nose up. The aircraft, to some extent, was now under control. Their right wing was damaged and they were losing a lot of fuel. They couldn't see how bad the damage was due to the fuel leak. The pilot somehow managed to fly the damaged aircraft and landed it while moving at twice the usual landing speed. During the landing, the plane's tailhook was completely destroyed. When the aircraft came to a halt, the pilot opened the canopy and took a look at the right wing. He was stunned to see the entire right wing missing. They had landed with only one wing. The aircraft was built so well that its wide body, the stabilators, and the left wing generated enough lift for the plane to stay in the air, while the two powerful Pratt & Whitney F-100 engines pushed the aircraft to higher speeds. Imagine an aircraft that could land safely with only one wing. Imagine an aircraft that could launch a missile and hit a satellite floating in the outer space. Imagine an aircraft with engines so powerful that it could go from a standstill to an altitude of Mount Everest in a little over 60 seconds. Imagine an aircraft that has taken down 104 enemy aircraft in air-to-air combat without being shot down even once. That aircraft is the legendary F-15 Strike Eagle. In this video, with the help of 3D animation, we'll see how the F-15 works in detail. In the 1967 Moscow Air Show, the Soviet Union unveiled their new supersonic interceptor, the MiG-25 Foxbat. This took the U.S. government by surprise. Also, at the same time, the U.S. Air Force desperately needed a new aircraft. Therefore, in 1969, McDonnell Douglas was selected to design and develop a new air superiority fighter, the F-15. There are different variants of the F-15. In this video, we'll focus on the widely used variant, the F-15E Strike Eagle. The F-15E Strike Eagle is a twin-seat, all-weather, multi-role strike fighter, designed for high-speed, deep strike missions. It's 63.8 feet in length, 18.5 feet in height, has a wingspan of 42.8 feet, and maximum takeoff weight of 81,000 pounds. It has two monstrous Pratt & Whitney F-100 afterburning turbofan engines, each producing about 17,800 pounds of thrust without afterburner, and 29,160 pounds of thrust with afterburner. It has max speed of more than Mach 2.5, and max altitude of 60,000 feet. One of the F-15E has reached an altitude of 98,425 feet in just 3 minutes and 27.8 seconds, and then coasted to 103,000 feet. A single F-15E costs about $31.1 million, whereas the newer EX version costs $93.95 million. The F-15 has an all-metal semi-monocoque fuselage, with large cantilever shoulder-mounted wings. The wings are swept back at a 45-degree angle, and are in a modified cropped delta configuration. Ailerons and high lift flaps are located on the trailing edge of the wing. The empennage section has two vertical stabilizers and horizontal stabilizers, made of aluminum and composite materials. They are designed in a honeycomb structure and are covered by boron composite skin. The F-15E is equipped with the AN/APG-82 AESA radar. This radar can detect, identify, and track multiple air and surface targets at longer ranges. They are X-band pulse Doppler systems used to boost situational awareness and attack capability. Under the F-15E radar modernization program, these brand new radars are being used on the F-15E and the modern EX variants. The first version of the F-15 was a single-seat version. In the twin-seat F-15E, the pilot sits in the front, and the weapon systems officer sits behind him. The pilot maneuvers the plane, whereas the weapon systems officer selects and eliminates ground targets. To make flying easier, the aircraft comes with HOTAS system. HOTAS stands for Hands on Throttle and Stick, where many important buttons and switches are placed on the throttle and the control stick, so that the pilot could access them easily, without having to take his hands off of the control stick. Right in front of the pilot, there is the head-up display. It displays critical flight data such as the airspeed, altitude, bank or turn indicators. It is placed right in front of the pilot, to keep the pilot informed, without having to keep an eye on multiple instruments. The weapon systems officer also has throttle and a stick to control the aircraft when necessary. He has two-sided controllers for selecting, guiding, and programming a variety of weapons. He also has control of the navigation and laser pods used for target designation and tracking. The ejection system consists of ACES-5 ejection seats. They are designed to withstand 40 G crash loads and can eject at 600 knots at 60,000 feet altitude. When the ejection handle is pulled, the canopy is ejected out first, and then the seat is ejected, keeping the pilot and the weapon systems officer away from danger. The transparent canopy is made of acrylic, and it costs around $160,000. Right behind the cockpit, there's the spine-mounted air brake. The air brake is deployed during landing to slow down the aircraft. It is deployed at 45-degree angle with the help of hydraulic actuators, in order to generate aerodynamic drag to slow down the aircraft. If you observe carefully, you can see two bulged structures on either side of the aircraft. These are fuel tanks called conformal fuel tanks. These are detachable fuel tanks. They are designed to increase the range of the aircraft without altering the aerodynamics of the aircraft too much, and they also preserve the aircraft's radar cross-section. Each conformal fuel tank carries 750 US gallons of fuel. They are a part of Fuel and Sensor Tactical Pack, known as the Fast Pack. They not only carry fuel, but also carry necessary sensors such as the navigational and targeting infrared sensor systems. They are attached to the side of the aircraft and they have multiple hard points, allowing the aircraft to carry its full payload. The major drawback is that they cannot be jettisoned after use, unlike the external fuel tanks. The air intakes on the F-15 are unique. They are variable geometry air intakes. They can tilt down to keep the airflow smooth at high angle of attack. They keep the airflow at subsonic speeds before they reach the engine compressor. By doing this, the shock waves produced on the compressor blades are prevented, and the compressor stall can be avoided, which improves the maneuverability of the aircraft. The F-15 has two powerful Pratt & Whitney F100 engines. There are two versions of this engine, the PW200 and the newer and more powerful version, the PW229. This is an afterburning turbofan engine. It is 191 inches in length, with 34.8 inches inlet diameter, and 46.5 inches maximum external diameter. It weighs around 3,829 pounds, produces around 17,800 pounds of intermediate power, and 29,160 pounds of thrust without afterburner. The forwardmost section of the engine has a fan, followed by the compression section, combustion section, turbine section, afterburner section, and the variable area nozzle. The compressor section is a dual-spool axial compressor, with 3 fan and 10 compressor stages. It has a bypass ratio of 0.36:1. Bypass ratio is the amount of air that passes through the fan, known as cold air, compared to the amount of air that passes through the core of the engine, known as hot air. Higher the bypass ratio, higher will be the efficiency of the engine. The fuel-air combustion happens in the combustion section, which is located behind the compressor section. Behind the combustion section, there's the turbine section made of 2 low-pressure and 2 high-pressure turbine stages. Behind that, there's the afterburner section. Afterburners are mostly used on supersonic aircraft, and are mainly used to increase the thrust, to achieve supersonic flight and high-speed takeoffs during combat situations. Afterburners are always located behind the turbine section. The hot and high-speed gas that comes out of the turbine section is reheated in the afterburner section. This is done by spraying fuel to the high-speed gas in the afterburner section. This increases the thrust and helps in pushing the aircraft to higher speeds. But the major disadvantage is that more fuel is consumed in this process, and the afterburner section increases the overall weight of the engine. The most interesting part of this engine is the variable area nozzle. The nozzle is made of multiple pedals, both inside as well as outside. The pedals are moved outwards or inwards to increase or decrease the area of the nozzle. When the afterburner is not in use, the pedals are closer to each other, which decreases the area of the nozzle. When the afterburner is switched on, the pedals flare outwards, increasing the area of the nozzle to achieve higher speeds. On the left side of the fuselage, there is a refueling receptacle. This is used during air-to-air refueling. The receptacle cover bends down during the refueling process, and then comes back to its original position when it's done. On the right side of the fuselage, the F-15 carries the deadly 20mm M61 Vulcan Gatling gun system from General Dynamics. It can carry up to 500 rounds, and can fire between 4,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute with the help of linkless ammunition feed system. The Gatling gun is used only during close combat situations. In our upcoming videos, we'll take a deeper look at the different types of Gatling gun systems and how they work. The main reason why F-15 is so widely used is due to its versatility. It can carry out wide range of combat missions, and to do that, it carries a wide range of precision weapons and sensor packs. These are some of the most widely used weapons on the F-15E. For air-to-air combat, the F-15 carries AMRAAM and AIM-9X Sidewinder missiles on the outermost rails. AMRAAM stands for Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile. It's a beyond visual range missile which uses high explosive blast fragmentation warhead with a proximity fuse. It weighs 356 pounds and can reach speeds up to Mach 4. The AIM-9X Sidewinder is a short-range air-to-air missile. AIM stands for Air Intercept Missile. It weighs 188 pounds, can reach speeds more than Mach 2.5, and has annular blast fragmentation warhead with proximity fuse. For aerial combat situations, the F-15s can be loaded with air-to-air missiles on all the hard points available on the aircraft. Under the conformal fuel tanks, the F-15 carries the GBU series of weapons, such as the GBU-12, GBU-16, GBU-10 and the GBU-24. The GBU series of weapons are laser-guided high-precision weapons. They were general-purpose bombs which were later converted into high-precision laser-guided bombs by installing nose-mounted laser seeker and deployable fins for steering. The GBU-12 weighs 507 pounds and has an effective firing range of 9 miles. They are considered smart bombs because they do not follow ballistic trajectory. The weapon systems officer guides the bombs towards the target with the help of navigation and targeting pods. When they are released, the movable nose-mounted laser seeker locks on to the target. The tail fins are deployed, and they steer the missile towards the target. On the remaining hardpoints under the fuselage, the F-15 can carry another group of GBU series weapons, known as Joint Direct Attack Munitions. These bombs were also unguided free-fall bombs, which were then converted into high-precision guided munitions, with the help of JDAM kit. This kit consists of inertial guidance system, coupled with GPS receiver, which helps guide the bomb towards the target with high precision. For example, the GBU-38 JDAM Smart Bomb has a launch weight of 559 pounds, it's 7.8 feet in length, and has a max range of 14.9 miles. These deadly GBU series munitions can take out ground targets with high precision. New version of JDAMs with extended range have been developed. They have deployable wings, which turns them into glide bombs, giving them extra range of up to 45 miles. The F-15E can carry up to 3 external fuel tanks, 2 under the wings and 1 under the fuselage. They have a total capacity of 610 gallons and they are jettisoned after use. Right below the intakes, you can see a navigation pod and a targeting pod. This is the LANTIRN pod. LANTIRN stands for Low Altitude Navigation and Targeting Infrared for Night. It is mainly used when the aircraft is flying at low altitudes, especially at night and under the weather, to carry out attacks on ground targets. It uses terrain following radar and a thermographic camera that helps the pilot to judge the terrain at night, and the infrared video from the pod is displayed directly on the head-up display. The LANTIRN pod does a good job at guiding the pilot through difficult terrain, but it is not very effective as a targeting pod. Therefore, an additional targeting pod is used along with the navigation pod. This is the sniper targeting pod. It provides positive target identification, autonomous tracking, GPS coordinate generation, and precise weapon guidance. It provides 3 to 5 times increased detection compared to the LANTIRN pod. With the help of high-definition FLIR, dual-mode laser, laser spot tracker, and laser marker, the sniper pod provides HD TV quality video downlink to the weapon systems officer, as well as ground-based controllers too. It can detect targets hidden behind smoke and clouds, in low light, no light, and daylight conditions. The LANTIRN and sniper pods makes the F-15 a deadly eye in the sky. On the 13th of September 1985, Major Wilbert D. Pearson was flying an F-15A, named Celestial Eagle. This aircraft was carrying a top-secret weapon, named ASM-135 ASAT. The ASAT is an air-launched anti-satellite multi-stage missile, which was designed to be carried exclusively by the F-15 only. It's 18 feet in length, 20 inches in diameter. It weighs 2,600 pounds, has a max ceiling of 350 miles, and max speed of Mach 12. With the help of infrared homing seeker, the miniature homing vehicle inside the missile can hit any satellite with very high accuracy. The F-15 carrying the ASAT, along with 2 drop tanks, made a zoom climb at an angle of 65 degrees and reached supersonic speed of Mach 1.2. The ASAT was automatically launched at an altitude of 11,600 meters. First, the lower stage separated from the missile. The upper stage shroud ejection happened in outer space. The miniature homing vehicle separated from the missile and moved towards the target. It weighed 30 pounds and had infrared guidance system. The target was the U.S. orbiting Solar Observatory satellite, the SolWind P-78-1. The miniature homing vehicle collided with the satellite at a closing velocity of 15,000 miles per hour. The satellite was destroyed instantly, but the debris produced would remain in the orbit till the 1990s. This operation sent a clear message to the world: that the F-15s can go against ground, air, and even outer space targets. The new variant of the F-15 is the F-15EX variant. The major advantage of the F-15EX over the E variant is the increased range, higher payload capacity, higher flight ceiling, and service life. From flying with a single wing, to taking out an outer space target, the deadly F-15s can do things that other aircraft can only dream of. Not a single F-15 has ever been shot down in combat. They are ruling the sky since the 90s, and will continue to do so with the brand new EX variant, because that's what legendary aircraft do. Thank you for watching.